The sound of rain hitting the hospital window was the only thing that filled the silence that night. Ethan Reed, a single father and janitor at St. Mercy's Hospital, pushed his cleaning cart down the empty corridor. He was exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally, but the bills didn't care. His little son, Noah, was counting on him. Ethan was used to seeing pain in the hospital. It had become background noise to his long nights. But that night, something stopped him. From one of the pediatric rooms, he heard a soft, trembling voice whisper, "Please don't take the cloth off." He froze. The door was slightly open, and inside sat a young girl, maybe 12 or 13, in a wheelchair. Her hair was tangled, her skin pale as the hospital sheets. She was clutching her arm tightly, her eyes wide with fear as a nurse gently tried to remove the bandage. Ethan didn't mean to intrude, but her voice, that pain, that terror, hit something deep inside him. It reminded him of his late wife, Lily, who had died 3 years earlier after a long battle with cancer. He knew what helplessness looked like. The nurse sighed softly. "Emily, sweetie, we need to clean your wound, okay? You'll feel better." But the girl shook her head violently, tears spilling down her cheeks. "No, please, don't take it off. I can't let anyone see." Ethan quietly turned away, not wanting to overstep. But fate had other plans, because the very next day, he was assigned to clean that same room. When Ethan entered, Emily sat by the window, staring out at the gray sky. She didn't notice him at first, so he gently said, "Morning, kiddo. Mind if I clean up a bit?" She nodded without looking at him. For a while, silence filled the air, just the sound of his mop and the faint beeping of medical machines. Then, unexpectedly, she said, "You clean rooms every day, right?" "Pretty much," he replied. "It's not the most glamorous job, but it pays for my boys' school." She turned slightly, curiosity flickering in her tired eyes. "You have a kid?" "Yeah, Noah. He's 8. Full of energy and way too many questions." For the first time, a small smile appeared on Emily's lips. It was faint, but real. "He's lucky," she whispered. Ethan frowned slightly. "Why do you say that?" Her eyes dropped to her lap. "Because you're there for him." Over the next few days, Ethan and Emily talked more. He found out she had been in a car accident 6 months ago. Half her body was paralyzed, and her mother, overwhelmed and heartbroken, had stopped visiting. Emily believed she was a burden. But what haunted Ethan most was how she always wore a piece of old fabric wrapped around her right arm, a faded blue cloth tied tight, like she was hiding something beneath it. Every time the doctors tried to remove it for treatment, she'd panic, scream, or cry uncontrollably. No one knew why. The doctors assumed it was trauma from the accident. One night, as Ethan mopped near her room, he found her crying quietly. The nurses had gone for shift change, and the lights were dim. He hesitated but walked in. "Hey, Emily, you okay?" She looked up, eyes red. "It hurts," she whispered. He knelt beside her. "Your arm?" She nodded but didn't move her hand. "It's not just the pain," she said softly. "It's what's under it." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "Emily, what's under it?" She shook her head. "You'll think I'm disgusting." "Hey," he said gently, "you could tell me anything. I've seen a lot of things in this place, but I promise I'll never think you're disgusting." Her lips trembled, but she stayed silent. He didn't push. He just sat beside her, a quiet presence in her storm. Days passed. Ethan became her only friend in that hospital. They laughed, talked, and shared stories. He told her about Noah and how they both missed Lily. Emily told him about her love for painting before the accident, how her mother used to say she painted emotions better than words ever could. But the day finally came when the doctors insisted the cloth had to be removed. Her arm was getting infected. Emily's panic returned tenfold. She screamed, begged, and sobbed, "Please, don't take the cloth off. Please, please." Ethan, who had just arrived for his shift, ran to her room. The doctors were frustrated, unsure what to do. Ethan gently said, "Let me try." They hesitated, then stepped back. He knelt in front of Emily, her body trembling with fear. "Hey, it's me," he whispered. "It's Ethan." She looked at him through tears. "I can't. If you see it, you'll hate me too." He shook his head. "There's nothing in this world that could make me hate you. You hear me?" Her sobs quieted a little. After a long pause, she slowly loosened the knot and let the cloth fall away. Ethan's heart broke. Her arm, from elbow to wrist, was covered in deep scars. Not from the accident, but from something far older. There were burn marks, small cuts, and fading bruises shaped like belt marks. He realized what this was. Not fear of a wound, fear of her past. Emily whispered through tears, "My stepdad did this before the accident. He said I deserved it. And when my mom found out, she left me at the hospital. Said she couldn't handle me anymore." Ethan's hands trembled, but his voice was steady. "Emily, listen to me. None of this is your fault. Do you understand? You didn't deserve any of it. Not one mark." She sobbed, collapsing into his arms. "I just wanted to keep it covered so no one would see how broken I am." Ethan held her tightly. "You're not broken, sweetheart. You're surviving. That's strength." From that day forward, Ethan became more than just the janitor who cleaned her room. He became her light. He arranged art supplies, encouraged her to paint again using her working arm, and even brought Noah to meet her. Noah, with his innocent curiosity, became her little brother figure. They would draw together, laugh, and for the first time, Emily smiled like a normal kid. Weeks later, the hospital organized a small art exhibition for the children's ward. Emily's painting, A Sunrise Over a Stormy Sea, was chosen for the front display. She named it Hope Finds a Way. When she saw Ethan standing proudly beside her, tears filled her eyes. "You didn't just clean the floors," she said softly. "You cleaned my heart." Ethan smiled, his voice thick with emotion. "And you reminded me that love can heal anything." Months later, Emily's therapy worked wonders. She started to regain slight movement in her leg. The hospital arranged for her to move into foster care, but Ethan couldn't let her go into another uncertain life. He went to the court, filled the forms, and with Noah by his side, adopted her. The day she moved in, she brought the same blue cloth with her, washed and neatly folded. She tied it around her wrist again, this time not to hide the scars, but as a reminder of how far she'd come. "I keep it," she said with a smile, "not because I'm afraid anymore, but because it reminds me that I survived." Ethan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "And now, you're home.